He walked into that boardroom as just another consultant, or at least that's what they thought. The billionaire CEO glanced at him, dismissed him, and refused even a simple handshake. To her, he was invisible. But what happened next would shatter her empire, rock Wall Street, and expose a truth she never saw coming. Because the man she humiliated wasn't who she believed. And within minutes, her arrogance would cost billions. How could one moment of pride ignite the downfall of an entire empire? Nathan Cross was no ordinary man, though few in that boardroom would ever guess it. On the surface, he seemed like just another quiet consultant, calm, measured, a stack of documents neatly in hand. He didn't arrive with an entourage, no flashy introductions, no sign of the power he carried. But behind the scenes, Nathan was the founder of one of the world's most influential investment firms, managing tens of billions of dollars in assets. To Isabella Blackwood, the billionaire CEO, none of that mattered. She saw only what she wanted to see. An advisor she believed stood beneath her. For years, her company had thrived on reputation, glamour, and fear. But beneath its polished glass walls, secrets were buried, and corruption was quietly eroding the empire she had built. Nathan had come to observe, to listen, and to decide whether Blackwood Enterprises deserved the kind of support that could change its future forever. What no one knew, what Isabella herself refused to imagine, was that a single choice, a single insult, would soon turn this ordinary meeting into the unraveling of everything she thought was untouchable. The tension began the moment Nathan stepped into the boardroom. Isabella Blackwood didn't bother to rise from her seat. She offered a cold glance, then looked past him as if he weren't even there. When Nathan extended his hand, a gesture of courtesy, she refused. Her words cut sharply, "I don't shake hands with staff." The room filled with nervous laughter from her executives, eager to follow her lead. To them, Nathan was just another consultant, an outsider, someone they could dismiss. What they didn't know was that every look, every smirk, every word of disdain was being captured. Henry, Nathan's trusted associate, had been recording the entire meeting. The presentation began. Isabella's team boasted about profits, showcasing charts and glossy slides. They painted Blackwood Enterprises as unstoppable. But Nathan listened closely, flipping through the confidential Nova Project files they had shared. Line by line, he uncovered cracks in the facade. Hidden costs disguised as research, inflated billing, entire divisions bleeding money, and an Ohio facility with numbers that didn't add up. 22% of its reported revenue was missing. The more he read, the clearer it became. This wasn't just sloppy accounting. It was deliberate deception, environmental violations buried, workers exploited, the kind of corruption that could destroy thousands of lives. Nathan raised questions, calmly pointing out the discrepancies. Instead of addressing them, Isabella dismissed him again, her voice laced with contempt. To her, his scrutiny was an annoyance, not a warning. But outside those walls, the world was listening. Henry had already begun sending clips of the meeting to journalists, investors, and activists. Within hours, whispers would spread. A powerful CEO mocking a black consultant. A billion-dollar company caught in a web of lies. The hashtag had already started forming. #Blackwood Racism. Inside the boardroom, the arrogance only grew. Isabella leaned back, confident in her empire, certain that her reputation would shield her. She didn't realize the foundations were cracking beneath her. Nathan didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to argue. He simply let their own words, their own arrogance, build the case against them. Every second of silence, every dismissive glance, every insult, it was all evidence. And while Isabella smirked, convinced she had embarrassed a consultant, the truth was that she had just humiliated herself in front of the entire world. The walls of Blackwood Enterprises were closing in. But Isabella didn't see it yet. She thought she was in control. She thought she had the upper hand. She was wrong. The storm broke faster than anyone inside that boardroom could imagine. Within hours, the recording of Isabella's words spread like wildfire. "I don't shake hands with staff." Clipped, shared, replayed, her arrogance became a weapon against her. Screens across Wall Street lit up with headlines. Racism at Blackwood Enterprises. Investors panicked. Phones rang off the hook. The stock price tumbled. For Isabella, the boardroom that once felt like her throne had turned into a cage. Executives whispered. Emails poured in. Journalists camped outside the headquarters. Every denial she tried to issue was drowned out by the evidence. The sneers, the laughter, the silence when Nathan raised his hand. The world was watching, and it wasn't on her side. The SEC announced an investigation. Activists took to the streets. Employees began leaking their own stories. Years of mistreatment, hidden abuses, financial lies. The empire Isabella built on fear and image was crumbling in real time. And then came the final blow. She had been waiting for a savior. An investor named Sterling Financial, who could inject billions and steady the company. The deal was her lifeline, her last hope. But when the moment arrived, the truth came crashing down. Sterling Financial never existed. It had always been Nathan Cross, his firm, his billions, his decision. The consultant she mocked was the very man who could have saved her. Instead, he chose to expose her. The silence in the room was deafening. Isabella's face drained of color. For the first time, she understood the weight of her arrogance. She hadn't just lost a deal. She had lost everything. And as Nathan stood to leave, the world outside erupted louder. Her downfall was no longer a possibility. It was already written. 6 months later, the empire of Blackwood Enterprises was nothing more than a cautionary tale. Its stock never recovered. Its board scattered. And Isabella herself disappeared from the spotlight she once ruled. What arrogance built in decades had collapsed in a matter of days. Nathan Cross, however, did not fade. His firm, Cross Equity Partners, became a symbol of integrity. Prestigious universities invited him to speak. Corporations adopted his ethical auditing standards. And communities that had once been ignored found an ally in his work. For Nathan, the revenge was never about destruction. It was about transformation. He proved that dignity, persistence, and justice could outlast the cruelty of prejudice. But his story is not just about one man or one company. It's a mirror, a reflection of what happens when racism is allowed to disguise itself as power, when arrogance blinds people to the humanity standing right in front of them. For every Isabella exposed, countless others never face the consequences of their actions. Nathan's victory was historic, but the fight is far from over, because the question remains: how many voices are still silenced? How many hands still refused? How many stories never told? And maybe the real lesson isn't just what Nathan uncovered in that boardroom, but what it revealed about us. That every act of dismissal, every quiet prejudice, every refusal to see another's worth carries a cost. Sometimes billions, sometimes lives. So ask yourself, what will it take before dignity is no longer negotiable? Before, respect wasn't earned by wealth, but recognized as a right? What do you think? Was this the justice Isabella deserved, or just the beginning of a bigger fight against arrogance and racism? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more powerful stories like this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.